What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune in and check out the content. With that being said, man, I want to speak on Victor Wembanyama. I made a video earlier this week also about Victor Wembanyama, right? And this dude, Victor Wembanyama, is just on a tear. Let me see what his stats look like on here. Now this is like through his first 4 games, averaging 24 points. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He scored 24 points in his first game. Then the second game, he went up to 31, 29, then 40 points, right? And wow, he getting like double digits rebounds, so he's averaging a double-double already throughout his first 4 games. Now, the thing is, this is good for the NBA, in my opinion, because what's going to happen is you have this old school type of basketball that's being played in the NBA. And I think the NBA, because Victor Wembanyama is like, what is he, 7 feet 4 inches tall? And I don't think they really have nobody right now in the NBA who can really guard him, right? Because there's a certain kind of way that you have to guard big men. And I don't think like the NBA going to have to, they don't have people right now that can guard them. And so they're going to have to go back to the old school way of playing basketball. A lot of people don't remember back in the day, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they outlawed the dunk because of him. So, once Kareem kept dunking the ball, they was like, well, all right, you can't dunk the ball. That's why Kareem developed that sky hook. But what's going to happen is, well, and what happened with Kareem, he really adjusted his game and became a better player because of that. And I think the same thing will probably happen to Victor, right? The league is going to make some adjustments. Now, they're not going to outlaw the dunk. But what's going to happen is you're going to see teams that are going to bring back that old style, whereas though you're going to have to limit what Victor can do. Like Victor can either shoot the three, or he can penetrate and just come and get into the lane and score on people. Now, why didn't big guys do that back in the day? Like, was it because they wasn't capable? No, that wasn't it. It was because on the floor, you had guards, like you had legitimate point guards. Then you had legitimate two guards. And if you was a big man like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or like Wilt Chamberlain or, any of those big men that played on it, Artis Gilmore, Bob Lanier, any of those big guys who played in those early days of basketball in the 70s, you would have the ball would have been stolen from you because those guys look for that. Nowadays in the NBA, you really like that point guard, that two guard position. The game is really made up of a bunch of I would say a bunch of like three guards. Not three guards, like small forwards, the three position. So you don't have people who are really adept at really like getting low on you on defense and taking that ball from you. Even Magic Johnson, when Magic Johnson used to dribble down court, Magic Johnson didn't do anything fancy. Magic just would, like when he was under pressure and he had that ball, he'd just put you on his hip. And he could go anywhere he wanted to. So he had to do all the between the legs and do what Kyrie and what's the other and Allen Iverson. He didn't have to do that. Probably couldn't do it because now you're exposing the ball. You got Magic Johnson 6'9", and if you expose the ball like that, it's gonna get taken from you. And Victor Wembanyama, like the more he dribble, he's gonna realize that like teams are gonna be, they're going to be looking for certain situations he may be able to dribble, but he not going, they're going to cut all that out. All that's going to cease and desist, right? But what is going to happen is, and what Victor Wembanyama is doing this year, he's playing closer to the basket, right? And so with him playing closer to the basket, what do you do when you have somebody 7 feet tall? They have a height advantage. Well, You put somebody on him that can push him off that block, somebody who can somebody who can move them and won't allow him to get a high percentage shot. So that's what's going to happen with him. And when that happens, that means you're going to have to bring back that power forward position. So you're going to have that power forward position. Dudes like Lonzo Mourning, dudes like Karl Malone, um, Kevin Willis, guys like that, the Davis boys who used to be at they were at Indiana. So, what was it? Man, Rodney Rogers. It just, man, and Terry Cummings. There's a whole lot of guys, man, around like that. I can name them all day. You had Buck Williams. That position right there, Charles Oakley. That power forward position right there was, and those guys were the enforcers. And so now, just imagine if Victor Wembanyama is playing somebody like Terry Cummings. I think Terry Cummings probably is like about 6'9". But he was strong as I don't know what. Now, Victor will be able to go around him like in a one-on-one situation. But now you got a situation where guards are looking for him to put the ball on the floor. So if he put the ball on the floor, they're gonna start picking his pockets, right? And so they're gonna have to. Victor Wembanyama is gonna have to adjust to the adjustment that these teams are gonna make to him. So he's gonna have to develop a shot, sort of like what Kareem did, or develop a move where as though it's going to be indefensible. I don't know what kind of shot it is. I doubt if he go to the sky hook, but he's going to have to develop a shot where as though once he get to a certain spot on that court, he will his shot is automatic. But as far as him like getting the ball and breaking down a defense at 7 feet 5 inches tall, I don't think he's gonna be able to make a living at that. I just don't think he's gonna be able to make a living at that. It's just gonna be turnover city. That's why, like I said, back in the day, guys like Kevin Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Terry Porter, they could do that stuff. They could do that stuff. Rod Strickland, Rod Strickland could really handle the ball. But you put the ball at risk. You know what I mean? So this, basketball is going back to the cycle to the way it was, I think, like in the 80s and the 90s. It's going to be a more physical, league. And it probably will go back to, because even before Michael Jordan came along, basketball, they say, was the big man's game. So it might be going that route, whereas though Mike was the first, they say like he was the first guard to really win without without a legitimate big man. Even the Detroit Pistons had what was the guy named Edwards? I forgot Edwards' first name. But his name was Edwards, I think it was, the big man for Detroit. So, they every team wanted to have a big center to build their team around. That was the thing. And then you had, then Mike just changed all that. But I think basketball is going back to that, whereas though you need to build around the big man. And the game, in my opinion, was even better because it was more strategy to it, and so that's what and I think the fact that, like I said, Victor is going to make the league adjust to him, then he's going to have to readjust to the league, and then boom, then we'll see, I think a better brand of basketball. I think we're going in that direction, and I already said that the same thing with the kid in Oklahoma, Shea Gilgis Alexander, right? He's bringing back the mid-range game, so everybody now is even though you got a lot of people shooting the threes, but I think you want to shoot a higher percentage. The closer you get to the basket, the higher your percentage is going to be. And if you off as a 3-point team, you're off, or you hit a, you go on a drought for 2 or 3 minutes during the game, that could be the difference between winning and losing. A drought. And that's in game, especially at the NBA level. It is a game of like runs. One team will make a run, then the next team will make a run. So, but if somebody make a run and you still close, or you're within striking distance at all time because you shoot high percentage shots, you know, then the games really won't get too out of hand. And for the most part, they won't get you won't have too many blowouts, because you're coming down, you're looking for good shots and people not jacking up threes. But yeah, I see because of Victor Wembanyama, I think that teams are going to revert back to playing that old school type style of basketball, and it's going to bring in a whole different crop of ball players. So that's my take on it. With that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.